Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We're going to wrap this up with some brand new music from a debut album. We're going to be looking at the artist RinRin, who has been releasing music since 2020, has had a few EPs along the way, but is now releasing their first full-length album, and this is the music video for the first track off of that album. So let's dive in and see what RinRin is bringing to the table with the track Killher. But it's all one word, probably more of a play on the phrase killer. I guess that's just a word. Anyways, let's dive into this and see what's going on. Interesting that based off of the intro drum beat, I thought it was going to be a much larger sound sphere than it is. Layering the synth on top of whispers. Nice way of building tension, presumably into a chorus. Half-timing it for the... Okay, so the halftime's only for the third quarter. We keep the energy for the first half and the last quarter of the chorus. Layering the screams and the harshes, keeping the energy built from the chorus to go into that post-chorus. Just a tad bit of pitch correction there in that verse. Really nice choice. It allows the vocals to really be put on edge, to have almost a slight digital compression to it. It's a very cool synth line alongside the guitars in that chorus. Using that high-pitched synth to really elevate the harsh vocals there.
Now that she's gone, finally out of the picture, I followed you home again.
Yep.
Will you see that I would never hurt you down?
A stripped down chorus.
They think that I'm dangerous, I'm a killer.
Into the full chorus. And a slight variation on this final time through. Alright, I kind of get the feeling that that's more for the music video than a part of the track on the album, but still a cool little way to wrap that up, I suppose. Yeah, I'm on board with this. Trying to figure out where it kind of sits, though. Post-hardcore, I think, is kind of where I'd put this, but it does have a lot of digital elements to it. It's very poppy, and in ways, it kind of reminds me more of alternative metal. given the guitar tone in the chorus and the push towards the harsh vocals, though post-hardcore is those too. Anyways, this is just where my mind's at. Let's talk about the music here. This does a fantastic job of weaving between all of these elements. We have these highs and lows. The chorus is, of course, the highs, although we also have the post-chorus, which is just amplification of energy. We also have the verses, though, which bring everything down. And I think what's really interesting here is the instrumentation difference between the verse and the chorus. The verse is primarily synths and electronic drums. And interestingly enough, this doesn't feel too divorced from the chorus, which, as far as I can tell, is an acoustic drum kit. Whether that is still samples or not doesn't really matter. It doesn't sound like a digital drum anymore. And guitars, although there is still a synth in there. I thought I heard a bass guitar tucked away in there as well, but it kind of weaved in and out. Sometimes I thought I heard it, sometimes I didn't. So maybe there isn't one in there. Maybe it's just a low-end synth that I was hearing as well. But despite the shift from pure electronic in the verse to acoustic and electric in the chorus, it still kind of fits. And I tried to figure out why. I'm listening to particularly the production on the drums. And I mean, that's the really big difference here. And I don't know. It just, there's no carryover there. And yet it clicks. It doesn't feel like we're shifting too far. So I don't know. I'd be kind of interested in hearing from RinRin about the, if this ever came up in the creation of this song and what they might have done in order to help fuse these two sides of the song in a way, probably from my perspective on a production level, that helps tie it all together a little bit more. What I do like, though, is not just that we have these lows and the highs, but how it's all built up. You see, a lot of songs, they tend to even things out. The verse is about as long as the chorus. It gives you this really nice, even high and low going on. But here we have the verse, which is pretty low, scoops up into the chorus, which is pretty high, and then the post-chorus keeps us really high. And then we have an electric guitar like interlude element, not a full-on solo, but an instrumental part after the post-chorus that kind of keeps us on this high energy moment. And then we dip down into the verse, but the second verse is shorter than the first. So it is a song that moves between low and high moments, but it really favors the highs up until the end. We have a bridge. It's a breakdown, lots of screaming, lots of noise. We'll get to some of the noise stuff later because I thought that was a pretty ingenious idea that they did there. But then we have a stripped down chorus, which is pretty typical for a lot of alternative metal and post-hardcore and honestly, even emo music. Bringing in the chorus, or even in this case, the first half of the chorus with a reduced instrumentation. Usually it's going to be acoustic guitar, but in this case, because the verse uses synthesizers, because synthesizers show up in the chorus as well, it makes sense to do it here. We have smaller, quieter synthesizer lines that go with a less belted vocal style. It kind of brings everything down before allowing it to explode into that full chorus. And so while we have kind of been holding on to these high moments for a lot of this track, we actually get to scoop down and reside in some lower points for a while. And I think that really helps the ending have impact. Because otherwise, the song would have just been at a 10 for, 80% of the track. And coming off of the bridge, you wouldn't have really felt the punch of that final chorus. So bringing it down for such a long amount of time, it isn't, because some bands will only do it for like the first sentence of the final chorus, or the first bar. And here we had the first half of the chorus. And I thought that was just a really great idea, given that we just came off of a heavy breakdown, that just came off of a high impact, high emotion chorus, to really allow the song to simmer out for a little bit. Just kind of chill, calm down, unwind, and then allow us to punch back in at the end. So yeah, that's just, it was a great idea all around. And to add to this, just because I don't have any better place to talk about this one element, is variation. I talk about this a lot when it comes to especially the standard verse, chorus, bridge, chorus format. Is that if you're going to make me listen to a chorus 3 or 4 times in 3 or 4 minutes, you got to change things up. And we do have the stripped down chorus on that third time through, and the fourth time through, because after we finish that chorus we do sing it again, we have a variation on it. Instead of singing out the full lines, we have the first sentence stated and then they hold the note out rather than continuing to the next statement, and another vocal comes in and sings on top of it. I thought this was a great way to sort of ramp up the energy, stacking vocal lines, stacking melodies, allowing a new harmony to be introduced within this chord progression. Just a really great way to push this song to the end and keep that energy high with fresh sounds. Just a really smart way to go about doing that. Now, I did mention, though, that there are some cool sounds going on in here. I think a lot of it revolves around the synth. The verse sounds great, but it is a bit stripped back. There's not a lot to dive into here. There is a beat and there is a rhythmic-based melody going on the synth. A lot of the focus, though, because of all the space present, is given to the vocals. When it comes to the chorus, we bring in a new drum beat, we bring in guitar, and we bring in the synth, but the guitar right there is just playing chords. And I don't mean to say this in a negative way, but the guitar tone is rather generic as well. It is a distorted rock guitar sound. Maybe even you could say a light distorted metal sound. But there's nothing in there that really screams personality, which is fine because as far as I can tell, its purpose is to give a rock or a metal flavor, that aggressive distorted tone, more so than to be an iconic guitar sound that a guitarist is going to be, honing in so that you can recognize who they are no matter what band they're in, no matter if you can see them playing or not. Its purpose there is just to make a gritty, distorted tone. And so it's fine, it's a bit more generic. And on top of that, we also have the synth, which comes in and fills in a lot of character that's kind of missing from the guitar. The synth provides some really interesting layering in the harmonic area against both the guitar and the vocals, but it also creates some sonic tension. It's a rather narrow sound. It's kind of pointed, and it's usually played alongside the vocals to give it a little bit of extra edge. We also saw this concept of using digital ideas to give the vocals edge at the end of the second verse, when I had mentioned that there was just a tiny bit of heavy pitch correction going on there, which gives it just a little bit of that robotic sound, and it gives the vocals something that feels like they're on edge. And I really like that. It's not present anywhere else in the mix. There's probably pitch correction used elsewhere as well. It's used in everything that's out there. But it's not in a way that's immediately apparent like it is here at the end of the second verse. It's almost as if they're cranking up the knob just a little bit to give it that extra tension, because we're going from having more variability to the pitch to sort of locking it to a specific tone. And you might not be able to understand that you're hearing it, but it is something that you're going to pick up, maybe even subconsciously, that this is moving towards something tenser, something less human, something more on edge. It's a really great idea at that moment, especially as it helps build the energy into the second chorus there, because we don't have a pre-chorus here. We had that whispered call and response thing the first time through, and that helped build energy into that first chorus, but we don't have that here. So actually using the production to help build tension and energy into the chorus was a very intelligent thing to do there, and a great way of understanding the flow of the music and how to achieve what needs to be done despite changing structure that's going on. But this thing, we actually hear it again too in the bridge, using the synthesizer to support the vocals. Here, though, we have the screamed vocals, and the synthesizer is giving us these razor sharp, thin, aggressive tones. And I think there's even some dissonance going on here. I'd love to get another listen at that and kind of hear if there is dyads going on. Two note chords is a dyad. And if there's a lot of tension there, I do remember there being tension, but I don't think it was like a half step chord, which is just going to be one of the least stable chords you can create. But it does use that tension in the harmonic instability of the synth to elevate the aggressiveness of the vocals. I thought that worked really well, and occasionally we would also layer in some growls underneath the Fry vocals, the Fry screams, and that helped elevate and well, really accentuate specific phrases, but help elevate the intensity of the mode of the movement as well. So, yeah, just a lot of really smart ideas throughout here, whether it is compositionally or structurally or production wise, in order to build this song up. It is more of a traditional track here. It follows conventions as far as structure goes. The build up into the chorus, I'd called that. The stripped down final chorus. I mean, again, that's something that a lot of bands in this style do. This is definitely something a bit more on the iterative side of things, but it does have enough of RinRin stamp on it to sort of showcase these neat ideas that they are adding to that formula. Definitely a band I'm going to be paying attention to. I had mentioned their album came out last week, definitely this month. It's on my list of albums to check out at the moment. I'm excited. This song is very interesting. Let's dive into some lyrics. All right, here we have a song of unrequited love taken to the most extreme degree. We have a person, the narrator of the story, who sees someone else that they fancy and sees them with their significant other and decides that this other person is not great for the person that they have their eye on. And so, if they need to, they'll kill that person. The first verse says, tried to explain that she was so plain, you chose her over me, I think you're insane. Knife through her brain, clean out the stains, witnesses' evidence go down the drain. Yeah, like I said, unrequited love taken to the most extreme level of this. The pre-chorus says, I'll be watching you cause the chorus kicks in, followed you home. When will you see that I'll never hurt you? Your friends think I'm dangerous, that I'm a killer. I wear your cologne, steal all your clothes, learn the things about you that no one else knows. When can I catch you all alone? That's pretty much the entire song there. The second verse goes into more of how she feels like she's the best for this person. We have the bridge that just says that this other person, she was plotting your death. I've saved you from that fate. And then we go into the bridge. The end of the bridge is I killed her. And now that she's out of the picture, the chorus comes back in with her wanting to be close to him and asking when they can have some time alone. It's a wild song. Wild idea for all of this. Interestingly, though, I found in the description of this music video that there is an entire story to all of this. That maybe this song and the music video, they're tied to other songs and music videos. Maybe not in a traditional concept album kind of way where there's a narrative told throughout all of it from like start to finish, typical narration. But it does seem that this character, our main character of the story, shows up in other tracks as well. There's some sort of chronicling of them. Maybe more vignettes. Maybe it is full on concept. I don't know. But yeah, that makes me want to dig into the album more. Maybe check out their other EPs as well. Just kind of see how all this works together. Although it is dawning on me now, it could just be the music video element here, where we just wrote a song about this and then envisioned it within this larger visual universe that they've created for their music videos. I don't know. I suppose that's always an option too. There are bands I've seen do that. the songs themselves are isolated, but the music videos are connected. I don't know. Maybe that's something for me to dive into, I suppose. And if you are a fan of RinRin and already know about all of this, please let me know. Help me set my expectations as I dive into their work. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today. These are my thoughts on RinRin's Killher. Do I want to emphasize the H in there? Because if I make it like Killher, two very distinct emphasized syllables, I think that loses the effect that it is all one word. Killher. Killher. Anyways, I don't know how to properly say that to emphasize the wordplay that's going on. These are my thoughts on it, though. What are yours? Did you enjoy this song? Is there anything that stood out to you? Anything you'd like to correct me on if I misspoke about something? What's your interpretation of this? If it differs from mine, do you have a different take on how all of this works together? Put all of that and any other thoughts you have into the description box below. Above that, in the comments below, above that in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. It takes you here. I have links to my music video, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. All right, that wraps it up for today. I'll be back tomorrow, though, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC, as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening. I have no idea what I was going to say there. Whenever you choose to watch my videos.